Hello, it's Beach Cams Man and Jack from BAM, and today we have another update and you won't believe the amount of work they've done. But before we get to that, please just click the subscribe button, hit the little bell icon so you get to see more of our brilliant videos. Right then, Jack, so what's been happening?
Right, so it's been 8 days since the channel diversion, which took place on the 3rd of October.
Yeah.
Since then, we've basically been progressing with the link bridge package of works. So directly in front of us, you've got the South Pier.
Yeah.
That was poured on, I think it was Friday last week. So the reinforcement gets fixed. We erect the formwork, which you can see in the background. That's the formwork over there, going around the North Pier. We erect the formwork and then we pour the concrete inside of the mould then. We give it a couple of days to cure, and then we strip the mould out. And then
looks like that.
Leaves you left with the form shape. So behind us, we've got the south abutment. We've poured both abutments, north and south.
Yeah.
Last time you were here, we were just starting the reinforcement on that.
That's right.
And the reinforcement that you can see sticking about at the top there is ready for us to start to tie the link bridge deck unit itself in.
Okay.
So like I mentioned last time, we're stood in where span A is going to be. So on the floor now, you can see all these blue crosses. That's where the legs are going to be positioned to support the false work, which holds the deck up in its temporary state while we pour the concrete and while we fix the reinforcement.
Okay.
So the kit, the temporary works design for this was signed off last week, and the kit is due to arrive today up to our compound on Timberth Road. Yeah. And then we'll start to bring the kit down over the next couple of days and start erecting the false work so we can get the steel on top of it then. Brilliant. Behind the south abutment, you can see where we've been progressing with the blocks tying to the Marine Parade interface.
Oh yeah.
So there's another 2 rows of blocks to go on top of that. We're not going to go any higher than that for the moment though. The reason for that is we're going to be building a nice access ramp into here to get the 70 ton up on top of that existing wall over there, so we can start laying the recurves and the L units back in pairs. Once we get to the end then, we'll put the last 2 rows of blocks on. There's a bit of cutting work involved with the existing wall and taking down the existing railway wall up there. The cutting work's been done. We've just got to break that out in possessions just because of how close we're working to the railway line. Of course.
Well, and the 70 ton will get up there, will it?
The 70 ton will get up there, yeah. So we're building an access ramp up. We'll protect the blocks so we don't damage them with the tracks of the 70 tonner, because obviously the steel tracks. Yeah. And then, like I mentioned, we'll just work our way out installing recurve units and L units on either side in pairs.
Okay.
That's going to start taking place from next weekend in the possession. We do have potential line blocks we could do it within, but you don't get the biggest window of opportunity in line blocks midweek, so we're going to save it for possessions. So behind the blocks which are installed, all that's concreted up to level, to the top of the block at the moment. That was done on Friday last week. Okay. And you can see behind us, we've progressed quite quickly into the mass infill on this side over here.
Yeah, this was just sand, wasn't it?
Yeah, just sand. So
when the brook was diverted.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you can see the edge of the perimeter now. You can see how the size and scale of how big this area is going to be. Like I mentioned to you last time, we've got the L units which go around the perimeter. They've got the Hawaii finish. The last time we were here, the guys were coring these down.
That's right, we can get a close up now.
So there's another 3 units to go on the right-hand side here where that gap is. But like I mentioned previously, that's going to be used for our plant access in and out of here. Yeah. The yellow line that you can see running across the breakwater there is our final surface and level. So part of the upgrade works in this area here also include resurfacing the Marine Parade underpass span. Right. So underneath there, historically, water would always flood that area. Yeah. You'd always end in a storm. You would always end up with a big puddle being left there. All of the new levels and gradients basically run the water back out from where the ramp comes down off the main road. Okay. Back out into the sea. So in the event of a storm, you are going to still end up with overtopping in this area. You know, we can't change the geometry and the height of the bridge and obviously the river
and the road.
So you still will get overtopping in this area, and you know, this is still going to be subject to waves down here. Absolutely. But obviously, like I mentioned, the new levels and the new design allow the water to escape much quicker. Right. As the kind of tide drops back off. Yeah. So we've got the channel in front of us now. We can see that very much in action. The tide's out at the moment. There's a section on the front side of it where I mentioned in the last tour is still building the precast over an island at the moment. So that was a design change governed by the environmental agency. So they asked us to install what's called an eel ramp, but because the design takes time to produce, the precast takes time to produce as well. Yeah. That precast wouldn't have been here for another couple of weeks, and we couldn't really afford to delay the programme. So what we'll end up doing is when the precast does arrive, we'll locally manage the water from one side to the other using sand, sandbags and things like that.
Yeah.
We'll install one half, concrete it all in place and get it all dowelled in, and then switch back over and complete the work on the other side. So beach level, obviously you can see all the material that we've still got in front of us protecting us. Actual beach level is much lower than this.
Yeah.
And once over the next couple of weeks now, we're going to start taking rock off the beach up to our compound, just because we don't need as much as we've got down here at the moment. And then you'll start to see the sand find its natural kind of level along the beach. Obviously, it's just been used to protect us for now and give us as much safe refuge while we're undertaking the work as possible. So moving over then, South Pier, like I say, that's been completed. North Pier poured to date. But we also lifted over the 14-ton excavator over the track this weekend just gone. So the 200-ton crane came in. So you've got the wall, the temporary wall which was in place, that's obviously been all removed now. Yeah. And the guys have started the infill to the channel where you can see the shutters that have been erected, and then a large volume of infill over here. So before...
Yeah, so this was the old brook, sorry to interrupt, this was the old brook, wasn't it?
Yeah, the temporary channel. So they've been doing some infill works in and around the pile cap today. So
this is where the piles were that you mentioned before, weren't they?
Yeah. So there were 2 piles which were inside the channel, and then there were 2 piles which were kind of inside our temporary wall, which we had in place. That was all broken out last week. There's probably about 5 or 6 ton of reinforcement gone into there as well. Yeah. And then the pile cap was poured on Saturday over the weekend. So the pile cap basically forms. We cast what's called a kicker into the pile cap, which is what the reinforcements then fixed to for the pier that you can see in front of us. So all of this is tied down into the piles. These piles go in this particular pile cap go 25 metres down into the ground. And then over the next couple of days again, they're just going to carry on infilling in round here. Yeah. And getting things up to level. Wow. So the shifts, they started at 7 o'clock this morning. They're just finishing up now for the day. But we've also got some works being undertaken in the lift shaft area, so I'll give you a walk up there, and I can also discuss our planned opening dates for different sections, etc. Brilliant. So the idea is that we're kind of focusing all our efforts on getting span A complete over there, and we're going to open up Marine Parade underpass as quickly as possible to allow access back onto Marine Parade while we still finish off the surfacing works around here. Okay. From the end of November, start December, that is when we would look at opening this section, the whole of this section. So what that'll allow is access up the stairs and over the link bridge onto Marine Parade. It will also allow access down the ramp onto the beach, and then you can go across the beach and up the stairs at Coast Guard's end. Oh wow, that's amazing. So you won't be able to go down the seawall this side, no, just because we've still got the lift shaft works in operation. We've got the piling booked for there, which I previously mentioned over Christmas. Yeah. And then the main structure install is in March 2023. So we're just going through the design for that at the moment. I've seen a couple of comments on your videos last time about it all being like a big jigsaw puzzle and it's all coming together and things like that. Just to put some context into it, it's probably the best part of 500 drawings specifically designed for this project, and it's a design and build contract, so we basically produce the design. Yeah. As we're building different sections of the seawall, the design's not finished up front. No. So bit by bit sort of thing. Yeah, it's all released in packages, so that's how we've previously labelled up is the different sections, and then we split it into substructure and superstructure, so the foundations, and then everything that goes above the foundations then. Yeah. So as we go down into this area now, we've got the 2 small machines, the little yellow ones. They're what are called brooks. They're basically robotic machines. A guy uses a remote control, which we'll see in a moment, and he's basically pecking out all the material in that lift shaft area to go back down to ground level. The reason why we're breaking the concrete back out that was previously put in there is because in the original design, the lift shaft, the lift was actually designed to be orientated in the same direction as the seawall. Right. But when we went through planning and getting it all approved by the planning officer, they wanted the alignment to the bridge change. Okay. So that meant that when we were producing the detailed design, we couldn't reuse the sleeves which we cast into the lift shaft area previously. Yeah. I thought I'd do the talking bit before we got over there because it's quite a noisy operation. Yeah. So you can see down the back there that we've got the acoustic matting. That's just to kind of dampen down the sound for GWR staff, and then the GWR staff are obviously telling people to stay away from this area.
Yeah.
Just for hearing protection, really, more than anything. So we lifted the brook over on Saturday. You can see the guy at the top there with the remote control. He's basically going to sink this shaft all the way back down to beach level. So he's probably done about 1 metre of breakout so far, and he's probably got about another 4 metres to go.
Right.
It's a very safe way of kind of mechanical excavation. Obviously it removes any need for the operator being in the hole while we're doing the work, and it's quite a small and tight hole to operate in. So we just keep the operator out. We've got Alan over the back then, just put some dust suppression on top of all the material that he's breaking out, so it's not just dust goes on the platform. Right. So he's currently down to existing wall level. What he's breaking out now is the existing wall. Right. The only concrete is in front of the existing wall. We never removed any of it as part of the work that we were doing, because there was no requirement for it. And if you remember, we had the sleeves cast in there previously. Yeah. So this will get sunk back down to beach level over the next 2 weeks. Once he's finished then, we're going to cast void formers into the holes and basically backfill everywhere with concrete to allow us to pile through at Christmas.
Okay.
And the void formers will stay in there until the piling works are complete.
Clever little machine.
Yeah. There is 2 of them, just in case there's any mechanical failures.
Yeah.
Just so we've got spare capacity really to lift one in and swap it out with another one.
And this is for lifting them in and out and getting the
broken up material out. So what happens is the 14-ton excavator loads up with all the broken out material, and he passes it to the 70-ton excavator.
Over the wall here.
Yeah. So the 70-ton excavator, the arm of the machine actually reaches up over this wall.
Okay. And it has the bucket the other way around.
So we turn the bucket the other way around, load the bucket with a 14-tonner, and then get rid of the material down on site. Right. So for the viewers that were also asking whether this kind of series is going to continue, I've mentioned it in about 3 or 4 videos ago that we have been successful on the Phase 4 part of the South West Rail Resilience Scheme. So that involves soil nailing, netting, and kind of rock catch fences.
Yeah.
Basically from the tunnel portal at the end of Marine Parade there, all the way down to where Morgan Sindall's compound is in the distance.
Okay.
So that's been split up into 9 areas. I think it's 9 areas. So over the next 4 to 6 weeks, it's ground investigation works for design development, and then the design programme runs until about March next year, and then construction works are currently planned for around about April. Depending on which sections we go at.
Yeah.
So I mentioned earlier about obviously opening up the seawall and where we're opening it from. There'll basically be a fence along this section preventing people from going down onto the seawall, and you can come up the stairs, go over the link bridge, and then also down the access ramp in front of the seawall.
Okay.
Onto the beach.
Down there, yeah.
And then obviously during the low tides, you'd be able to access right down to Coast Guards.
So you'd be able to get up the steps the other end then?
Yeah, so the fencing at Coast Guards is going to remain in the current position that it's in.
Yeah.
It's just the stairs will become accessible. Obviously we can't allow people down the stairs at the moment because it could obviously lead to them coming over into the work area, which we obviously can't fence off with it being on the beach every day.
No, of course.
So through here now you can kind of see the proposed alignment to where the bridge is going to be. Yeah. The bridge is roughly about, I think it's about 600 or 700 mil wider than what the pier is. So it kind of fans out as it goes into the piers and into the abutments.
About the same width as the seawall the other side on Marine Parade, a little bit.
Yeah, about the same width as that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the guys have carried on putting the angle irons down. That's for us to lay granite sets between. It just creates an expansion joint in between the different bays where we're laying the granite sets. Yeah. And through this section, there's pink and silver Portuguese granite. The silver Portuguese granite will go along the lines of where the old arches used to be in the front of the station. Yeah. And that'll kind of replicate through into the facing panels, which we've cast into the.
So here's the finished railings as well. Looking very nice, very bling. Right, Jack, thanks for another tour, and it's remarkably impressive how much work you've got in, 8 days since we were here last?
8 days, yeah. Like I mentioned earlier in the tour, obviously, if you're willing to, I'd like to continue this into the next phase and show you all the work that we're going to be doing down there.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, let us know in the comments if you'd like to see Phase 4. which I'm a bit more scared of heights. Have I got to do any abseiling?
Oh, no. You've got a drone, luckily.
I'll get the drone up. So, again, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and give it us a share. Thank you.
Thanks again.